like how your journey as a filmmaker started, like before making Kiss Wagon, like how your journey was there.
Yeah, actually, Kiss Wagon is my third feature film. I've done several shorts before doing my first feature. The first feature came out in 2016. That was a live action film. And this is the first time we are attempting on an animation, like Kiss Wagon. Our previous two films were totally live action. So the journey as a filmmaker started very early, ever since I was a kid. Wanted to do with my life because as a kid, the only toy I ever played with was a 35 film projector, which I had at home. Yeah, so the love for cinema started there when I saw this magical equipment which throws light onto a huge screen and let us see all those moving images and wonderful sound coming out of the speakers. Even the smell which we get while the celluloid gets burnt passing through the lens gate, even that was an inspiration to become a filmmaker. So ever since I wanted to become someone who creates celluloid to feed this wonderful machine. So that's how the love started. And I made my first short film when I was doing my 10th. It was when I was 15 years old at that time. And after creating 10 to 15 shorts, I made the first feature. And my profession, I had a different profession at one particular time of that was I was sailing as a second officer in merchant navy. So I quit that now to make films.
And Karishma, like how your journey in film started, like if you could explain.
Okay, I've always been a movie enthusiast. I've always been in love with movies, but I never thought I never ever thought that I would, you know, endeavor into something like this. It was in back in 2018 that I met Midhun for on the screening of his second movie, Humania. So it was in a little theater in Kochi. So I came to Kochi for my job here. I work as a content writer. So I always wanted to explore cinema, explore people behind cinema, and all the nooks and corners of it. But Mithun was the first filmmaker I ever met. So I used to write poems. I sometimes still do, and I we became friends, and I used to share him some of my poems. Uh, so one day he just told me that we should make something out of it, like make a movie adaptations of it, and he was really into my wordings. So I don't think I would call them poems. Like he was into it, and we started working on that, and we made some YouTube videos like about the on the poems, uh, and then we were both into music. So we are totally we are completely non-musicians. We don't know the ABC of it, but we are so fascinated by music, and uh, we worked on some music videos, and that's when we did the moving images thing that you see in Kiss Wagon, right? I hope you have seen the movie. We created an album including 16 songs in it. So that's when that's the radical of Kiss Wagon, the music videos that we created.
Okay, okay. Like in interviews, like if someone has said like Case Wagon is a animation, like you guys have said it's a multimedia film. So what's the
Yeah.
difference? So what's the difference?
The difference is that every animation film they makes the different ways of animating a film these days is we can use AI to create images, or we can use game engines to create images and move it further, or we can do pixel level animation like we see in the animation films coming out of big studios. But we have never used any of these techniques in this one. Like Grishma said, while we were making one of our music videos during the lockdown time, so we never had an opportunity to go out and create actual visuals for that. So what we did was, if we wanted an image which consists of a beach, a sky, and a tree, we take photographs of these independent elements. Like for creating a sea, we can just use a small pool of water in the gutter. We take a photograph of that. Then we take a photograph, another photograph of the open sky. Then we can take a fern and turn it into a tree. Then after taking all these different images, we can composite all these three into a single image, which consists of a beach shore and a tree. So that's how this idea originated. Like we can even take the image of a lizard and turn it into a big giant on screen using this technique. So that's how we created Kiss Wagon. Like for a single shot, we use at least 30 to 40 images to composite and make it into a single shot. Like that, we have created 2,100 shots for this film. Yeah, that was a long process actually. That's why we call it a multimedia film. Yeah.
So first I'll talk about the writing part, like how the idea came and how long was the writing process. Only the writing process.
Yeah, the basic idea for this film came when I was sailing. As I told you, I used to be a sailor. So when I was in a ship and I was doing a night watch from 12 to 4, it was the calmest. It is the calmest hour to work in a ship. So that time I got this idea of a totally apolitical protagonist who is running a parcel delivery service, and a bloody bride approaches her and gives her a particular parcel which she has to deliver to a particular person. By delivering that parcel, she can save the world and bring back colors to the world. So this was the idea I had, but I cannot even think about writing this particular screenplay because it has got an epic structure to it. It goes through a wide canvas of locations, and a lot of characters are there in it. So we independent filmmakers cannot even dream about making such a film. So whenever I write a script for a film, I won't even think about a story or a premise which consists of more than five characters in it. So we were planning to make a similar film just before lockdown. As Grishma said, we created 16 songs for that. That was a musical film which happens inside a single location. So we couldn't make that film because of the lockdown. So, and we accidentally discovered this multimedia thing. And using this technique, it was quite possible to make a film of epic scales. So I told Grishma about this basic idea which I got when I was sailing, but I was not sure what the parcel was. So I asked her what it could be. She has to deliver a certain thing to a particular person, and by delivering that particular thing, she should save the world. She should bring back colors to a black and white world. So it should be a beautiful thing. So without even thinking for a second, she replied, saying that could why couldn't it be a kiss? So that was an amazing idea. I thought it was an amazing idea, and we further sat on it and we developed the script. And the another tool which we used for this film is that we wrote this epic in the format of Bible or any other religious books, starting from a pre-civilization era and ends in the modern era. Through that journey, we should turn our ordinary protagonist into a godly figure. That's the basic idea. So we wrote a totally linear script starting from the Stone Age and ending in the modern era. And then we assumed that everyone knows this epic. Everyone is totally aware about this myth, like Mahabharata or Ramayana or Bible. And then so we don't have to spoon feed anything to the audience. We can make it as abstract as possible. Like if we have to visualize an abstract Bible, there is no need to tell the audience that Jesus is the son of Mary or Joseph. So that liberty we took in this one, we assumed that this is a myth generally known by all the people, and we made it very abstract. So that was the scripting process. Yeah.
And like while scripting, like were there any funds while doing the film, while writing the film, or were you like self-funding and writing in on your own?
Yeah, it is a totally self-funded film. We can actually call it a zero-budget film because other than the electricity used by the computer, we already had a camera to take the images required to composite the shots. That was a basic DSLR camera, nothing more, and a cap lens. So we can call it a zero-budget film. We did everything within the walls of our bedroom. Like we recorded the songs here. We don't even have an acoustics to record the vocals, but we used the beds. We padded the walls with beds so that we can cut down the reverb a bit. And we did everything here. So we can call it a zero budget film. We have never depended a studio for it. Yeah.
Like everybody has asked you this question, like the length of the film. It's 3 hour long, almost 3 hours long. Like I'll ask you the same question. While writing, like was it always the 3 hours, or like was it shorter? Or
No, it was longer and we cut it short to 3 hours. The thing is that our previous two films, both Grahanam and Humania, are less than 90 minutes in duration. So I always prefer watching and making shorter films. But here the concept is that the film should resemble a religious book, as I told you earlier. So whenever we look at a religious book, there are always big fat books consisting of a lot of characters and subplots in it. So since we are creating a film that resembles something big, we cannot make a short film. So that's why we made it longer intentionally. That's the length of the film is actually like choosing a canvas for a painting. A painter can choose a canvas as big as this wall, and he can just choose to make a small painting in the middle of it, leaving the rest of the canvas blank. So we consider the length of the film as the canvas. It's a 3 hour long canvas in which we made this film. It was intentional. Yeah.
like I've seen like your interviews, because the emphasis is really given on the length rather than anything. But I do consider like the length is nothing but the experience, and it doesn't feel like a 3 hour film. It feels like a very short film. It's a brilliant film.
Thank you. Thank you.
So first of all, and then the pre-production work, how was it? Like how much, and the writing process, like how much time it took to complete the script, and the pre-production work. How was the experience like making it?
For writing this linear script, as I told you earlier, which looks nothing like the actual film is right now, that took us only 2 to 3 months, right? Yeah, we could write that linear story within 2 to 3 months. But after that, we sat on each particular portion. Like we should pick this particular point to start the film, or we should start the film with this apple sequence, which comes in the middle of the story actually. And we shuffled it totally because the main, as you have seen the film, you may be aware that the central character has a brain fog throughout the film. The brain fog is clearing towards the end of it, so we should keep the audience in her shoes throughout. So if we are telling the story in a linear way, when everything is clear, that mystery element, we will lose it. So that's why we shuffle the story a lot and made it as abstract as possible. So that process was long. Actually, that process and the actual filmmaking process overlapped. We only had the linear story with us in the beginning, and we started making the film. We jumped onto the filmmaking process. We made the songs, we made the tracks in between, and yeah, the scripting process continued throughout the process. Yeah.
Like, were there any shooting part as well? Because people may think it's an animation. Like, were there any shooting process as well?
Yeah, as I told you, we have taken short videos and even still images to compose a single shot. Like, for example, if you're seeing a moving vehicle in a film, you can see the road passing by through the windows and all. That's an actual video which we shot. We went out in our car and we shot the moving trees or whatever we see outside with our camera, and we played that image as a base layer on which we created the animation part. Yeah, so there is videos and photographs involved in the process.
Like, how many crew member were there? Like, you guys were doing all the thing, or were there any
Yeah,
other?
only two of us were there until the completion of the film. But for doing the voice acting part of most of the male characters, we approached a friend of ours. He's an actor. He's a wonderful actor, Jicky Paul. So he's our third partner.
He
So we
has
can see that say
worked
that
in like Don
Don Palatra, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, great. And the post production work, like how, like I assume like it.
We can say that the entire film is in the post production process because yeah, it was like we create a scene, and after that we immediately compose the OST for that particular scene. We didn't wait until the completion of the film. After completing a 5 minute stretch, we immediately compose a song for that area if required, and the OSTs are composed then and there itself. So everything, including the color grading, was uh, means up to date. Like when we create a 5 minute stretch of the film, every aspect of the film is covered, other than dubbing. We only left the dubbing for the end. That's where Jiki Paul came in and helped us with completing the male actors. And when I say the dubbing part, Grishma handled all the female characters in the film alone. She dubbed for every film, every female characters you are listening to in the film, including the kid characters. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Like if you could tell the writing to completing the film, how much time it took?
As we told you, it took us 3 months to write the base story for this, but the actual screenplay of the film evolved with the filmmaking process itself. So the filmmaking process took us almost 3 years to complete this film. So we should say the writing process was going along with that. Yeah, it took us almost 3 years. Yeah,
It got its world premiere at Rotterdam, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken, and you won to work there. Like first of all, congratulations, guys.
Thank you,
Like
thank you.
when you watch a film, like it's an incredible film when you watch as a filmmaker your film in a big screen. Like how does it feel as a filmmaker, and what was the audience response? And do you find any comparison while you compare it with an European audience or a Western audience, because it also premiered in India as well? Like, do you find any comparison in the response?
Yeah, it has been screened in several festivals like Jeonju, Rotterdam, Miami, and IFFK. Everywhere there was a recurring means syndrome. Like there's a phenomenon,
Pattern.
a pattern. Yeah, there's this pattern happening. Like almost 50% of the audience walk out while the during the first half an hour of the film, but those who stayed till the end ended up loving the film. So we knew right in the making process itself that it's going to be a film that divides the audience. So that was totally expected. Like this is not everyone's cup of tea. Like people, most of the people look forward to acting and performances from real actors in a film. That's the major part that attracts the crowd, even in the film festivals. So since this is an animated film, and even as an animation film, the animated characters doesn't have any features to express the emotions. So we should totally rely on the filmmaking process. Like we should use the cuts, sound, and music to express all the emotions. So that's totally new to a majority of audience. So there are a lot of walkouts, but after each and every screening, we'll get at least 30 to 40 hardcore fans for the film. So that was a recurring pattern ever since the film was shown in Rotterdam. And Rotterdam was a great festival. Like you won't feel like you are an outsider when you see mainstream uh, filmmakers or crew standing along with us because they consider everyone the same. So that was a wonderful experience having the film screened in Rotterdam.
Like it's a Malayalam film, and Malayalam film is like making a trend, and every film industry following the Malayalam cinema. So a film
Mhm.
like Kiss Wagon is current, like it was shown in theaters or any OTT platform in Kerala,
No,
because
haven't.
in IFK Kerala Film Festival it was very well received.
Like we said, like half of the audience, they just went out the theater, so it would never make it into a theater release, right? It's not that kind of a movie. it was it, actually we planned it to be our movie. Like we just wanted to make it for ourselves. We didn't expect this to blown out this way, right? So I don't think it would come out in a theater.
Yeah, being independent filmmakers, we don't even have the luxury to think about a theater release
Yeah.
because the promotion works or blocking the theaters or even uploading our film into uh, a DCP creators like Cube or that takes more money than the actual production budget of the film. So that's we should bring a different model of distribution for these kind of films. Actually, the current, yeah,
Considering the budget we spent on this movie,
yeah,
we got like 10,000 times back from the Rotterdam,
yeah,
and
awards and
and we have got selected in IFK, so that's we've got remuneration from them too.
yeah,
So we are happy with what we have right now.
yeah, it's in profit right now.
Okay, okay. Like brilliant. Like why I'm saying this because people may consider Manjumal Boy as a independent film because for North India. And I don't think it's the case. Like Kiss
No,
Wagon or Riptide, like films like these are independent in my opinion.
yeah,
And they think
definitely.
like Kerala is going forward because all the government funded like it's for women I guess.
No, there are funds for both. There are special funds for women, but there are general funds too, given by Chalachitra Academy and KFDC. So, uh, yeah, it is the government is supporting independent filmmakers a lot these days. But as you said, the films like Manjumal Boys or Brahmayugam, they are not at all independent films. They are proper studio films, including big money, means involving a big money,
Big stars.
big stars. The only thing is that big stars nowadays are ready to act in these kind of experimental films. That's what,
If you
uh,
want to call it
yeah,
experimental film.
yeah. At least in the context of my, yeah.
I think Mammootty is the biggest actor in Malayalam, if I'm not mistaken. And Lilo Joseph is also considered an independent director, but he's also the biggest director in Malayalam in South.
Yeah, Lijo Jospellisheri is like someone who gives inspiration to other filmmakers to create something path-breaking without worrying about its reception. So we consider him a true master. Before his period, people were always following the mainstream films. Means there was a particular pattern. Even while writing the script or choosing actors, everyone used to follow those patterns. But after the arrival of Lijojo Spillicheri and people started loving his films, other filmmakers too got brave enough to break the walls and create films they want to make.
There are veterans too, like KG George and
Yeah, definitely.
people that are not sung enough.
Yeah.
They should be shown as the messiahs of Malayalam movie.
Yeah.
That's what I really believe.
Like as you said, like in earlier, like you used to write budget, like you used to write characters in terms of budget. Like has that changed? Like you have won an award in Rotterdam and you have gone to various film festival. Like currently, are you working on any script and these things have changed?
So the movie that we wrote a script for, it's before Kiss Wagon, before lockdown happened. It was called MTV. So we submitted it to the HBA fund. That's part of IFFR. So the last month we got good news that we got selected, and uh, it's a script development fund. So as of now, we are working on the
Hubert,
script.
Hubert, Hubert one.
You think that's fun?
Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so currently, like, are you doing any other work right now? Any shooting something other than that script?
No, we have not yet started shooting anything. We are trying to perfect the script as much as possible before we start shooting, because this is the first time we are going to work with such a large crew. It's comparing to our previous films. It's not even comparable to the actual scale of a mainstream cinema, but yeah, for us, this is a bit big, so we should be a bit careful here. We cannot be that free spirited using the liberty of indie filmmaking. So,
Midhun has always funded the film himself, so he's always been in positive balance. So this is kind of huge for us.
Like I know, like earlier, Pyle got the fund as well, like a
yeah,
feature
Yeah.
film filmmakers like a feature film. So,
yeah.
congratulations, guys, for you. So
Thank you.
happy.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And are there any films and filmmakers like you really love and you really admire?
Okay.
It's a list, like you can give me
Yeah.
any number.
For me, for me, the staple filmmakers are Lynch and Buñuel. I am heavily inspired by the works of Lynch and Buñuel, and considering a bit contemporary filmmakers, I love Lars von Trier and Gasparno. But recently, I've seen the emergence of a lot of newcomers. Like one film which has inspired me a lot last year was I Saw the TV Globe by Jane Schonbrun. That's her second film. The first one was Everyone's Going to the World's Fair. Both of these films are highly impressive. So that's one recent filmmaker I love watching. Yeah, these are the inspirations.
And I love Andrea Arnold. Like
Yeah.
her movie Bird, we just watched it the other week, and I was mind blown.
Okay, 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 great. So my last question is like there are various aspiring filmmakers in India and around the world. Like any advice for them if they want to make a film? Like what advice would you give to them?
We are still not in a position to give advices to anyone. We are still trying to discover our own path. Like one thing is that in modern days, when we don't have to depend on big studios to make a film, everyone should venture out and make their own films. That's the only thing we would like to say. Like we ourselves are aware of several friends of ours who always wanted to make films, but they are still waiting for a big production to do that. So that's a bit foolish, I think, in the modern era. You can always make a film.
Uh, our personal aim is to fight the AI.
Yeah,
Because the AI is there before we reach anywhere. So we want to make films that AIs can't make.
yeah.